time for our pentatonic mastery, very, very first super nerd session, where we're going to be talking about position 1 on the pentatonic scale. And if you've been watching the previous videos, this is the G minor pentatonic. Boom. And we're going to be shredding out and adding the CAGED system over the top of it. I'm going to show you how I use the CAGED system to shred over the top of my minor pentatonic. And so that allows me to play pretty much in any key, over any progression, and have heaps of fun and always still sound decent. Now, if you're new here, my name is Luan. I'm a professional musician. I graduated from Berkeley with a scholarship, and we have a free online music school where this lesson is currently hosted. It's part of our improvisation course, and if you want to jump into it, I'm going to comment it, pin it inside the comments with a link to where the lesson is, and you can go to the previous lessons or the future lessons. But either way, if you kind of know the pentatonic scale and you don't want to look at all of the previous stuff, this will still help you. It is awesome. Now, we're going to go through all the different positions over different videos. But you should all know the 5 different positions of your pentatonic, and this is the very first one. This is my bread and butter. This is amazing, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to use it to help us navigate chord progressions and start to be able to target chord tones very easily. It means you don't have to learn scales. It means you don't have to understand modes. You don't have to understand anything like fancy. Depending on the complexity of the music, you might have to do a little bit of extra work, but seriously, if you understand this basic stuff, which you should know from doing our music theory course, and you should understand how the CAGED system works, you're going to crush it. Boom. G minor. Let's go refresh on what I'm playing right here. So starting on the low E string, we're going 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 6. Boom. So that's the position I want to figure out what's going on. Now, the only thing you need to do is you need to look at the chord progression that you're playing over, and you're going to find the root notes of each chord that's being played, and then you are going to build out the chord using the CAGED system within the minor pentatonic. So that is it. There's no crazy stuff happening. It's incredibly simple, very, very easy. Now, I will just give you an example of a progression. So say we're playing a 1, 4, 5, and in this key, which would be B flat, E flat, F. Well, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to find where that B flat sits over my minor pentatonic. So my root note, B flat, B flat, B flat. So G shape. I just add my G shape. So bam. Got my minor pentatonic, but I've got my G shape, which means anytime this chord happens, I can articulate that chord. Wow. Ninja, right? And now the next one, let's say it's an E flat. I need to find an E flat. E flat right here. Yep. And then another E flat right here. And then I can build a C shape. So minor pentatonic, C chord. Sorry, the E flat chord. And you'll find that there is this note right here. The E flat is actually not part of the minor pentatonic. It's actually part of the natural minor scale or the Aeolian mode. But you don't need to know that. All you need to know is where that note is. And you know you can hit it because it's part of the chord tones. And now you can start articulating that chord over the minor pentatonic, and you just basically never had to learn how to do chord scales. Boom. Crazy, right? We just nerded out. Now, the next chord, the fifth chord, which is an F, all I have to do is find an F, which is right here. And then there is another one right here. So I can use my D shape right here. Or I can use my E shape right here. I've just go down 2 frets from here, my F, and then bam, that's my root third, right, of the F chord. So now, while I'm in the G minor pentatonic, I can articulate the B flat. I can articulate the E flat. And then I can articulate the F. And I'm just sitting in my one little spot here. Now, I'm not saying you need to go and play every single like chord, you know, scale and go crazy, or all these chord tones. You don't have to follow the chords exactly. It just is like, say the progression is doing like a, well, I can just come in on it. Well, that wasn't that good. I went too minor-y on there. But you can see how I was just playing through my minor pentatonic, just grooving. And then when I knew that there was a chord change coming, I was like, I can hit that chord tone. I know where it is. Why not? And then you could see I was kind of moving through the chords. That's as simple as it gets. So the only requisite that you have to do is find your chord progression and then find the root notes of each chord and then build out your open chord over the minor pentatonic. And that's it. That's all we're doing. There's nothing crazy here. So, you know, the common chords that we're going to be aiming for will typically be, you know, 1, 4, 5, and 6. Those are like the main chords, and the 2 chord. But like, so for instance, here we got your 1 chord is a G shape. That's what I do. Let's go through the next diatonic chord would be a 2 chord. So this chord here, which is going to be a C minor. So we're just going to find where the C note is. There's a C note right here. So I just build an A minor shape right here. And so I got that over my minor chord. Bam, got my 2 chord. My 3 chord is the D minor. So I would have to find a D. Where's a D? There's a D right here. D minor shape, bam. So I've got... And there's another D over here. So I could build a D minor shape over here. So I can kind of connect. I'm kind of stepping into position 2, but that's the 3 chord. Now the 4 chord is over here. We already know that. The C shape. 5 chord using the D shape. And you got this one. And then the 6 chord, which is G minor. So we can just use our E shape right here, and then you just pretty much use the G minor pentatonic. And we don't really use the 7, but say hypothetically you really did want to use the 7. So the 7 would be a 7 minor 7 flat 5. So say, brain, figure it out. Yeah, right there. So it'd be a A minor 7 flat 5. So we do it like this. And then all I would do is I would just find like, where is an A? We know there's an A right here. So we could build out the minor chord if we wanted to that way. So we've got root third, flat 5 right there. So I'm using the G shape. But that's a pretty tricky one to get the flat 5. But we're not going to be using the 7 that much. But you can see how I can find it if I wanted to. And then there would be another A over here. Yeah. Because then I would do like... Yeah, do something like that. So I'm using my G shape right there, right? So that's a G shape for this, but I've got my root note, and then the flat 5 is right here. And then the root note again is here. And then we got a flat 3 over here. And then within my G minor pentatonic, I promised myself I wouldn't get complicated, and I just got it complicated. But you can see how I can experiment with a minor 7 flat 5, which is not something that we typically use, but I can find where it fits within the G minor pentatonic. So that's up to you. You can just mess around with it, how you do it. But that is essentially all we're doing. We're just playing our we're just finding the open chords and where the construction of like the root third fifth is going to be. And then as you get more experience, you can start adding like sevenths and things like that. And like tensions based on the chords if you want to, but you don't really have to do it. The seventh is the most that I would ever add. So like, for instance, you saw when I played that one shape. So I know where the root note is also a 7. So I can articulate that. And then I can, jump in and do that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm figuring all this stuff out. So if you're wondering like, oh, is Luan doing chord scales? What scales he's playing? I'm just playing with pentatonic. Pentatonic is perfect. That's all I need. And I'm just aware of where the root notes are for the chord progression. So then that allows me to map out what triads and like what chord tones will fit over my minor pentatonic and all the minor pentatonic licks I have. You don't want to have, if you go through trying to learn new scales and doing all that kind of stuff, you really run into the problem of like, well, I had all these really great licks and these really musical things that were me and my sound, and I can't use them. They're way too hard to use. So that's how we solve that problem, and have a good time. So hopefully that helps y'all. And we're going to be moving on to the next position that is really, really important. I'm going to rank them in like most important positions. So we're going to go position 1, 4, and then we'll see how we go with the other positions. We might do like a bundled up version of the other ones so that you guys can just like, use things how you need them. All right, let's rock and roll.